All right. Well, this is my second try. I don't know why this keeps doing it. Would you like to update? This is going to keep doing it the whole time, isn't it? I don't even know what it's trying to update there. But anyway, so anybody watching online, we got a little bit through this already, and then the computer just shut down on me. So let's try it again. So we are on page 193. We're just reviewing for the quiz that we're going to have on Wednesday. So it's page 193, and it's number 15 is what we're going to do. And they give you the radius of a circle, and they give you the center of the circle. And it's, what is it, 4, -3? There it goes again. It's going to be doing it the whole time. That's supposed to be a 4. It's a weird looking 4, but that's what it's supposed to be. All right, and you need to write this in standard form, general form, and then graph it. So earlier we said, why don't we just graph it, just to give us an idea of what this thing's really going to look like. All right, so let's do a little graph right here. I'm going to make my tick marks a little bit smaller so I have room to put, because I'm going to have to go over 4, and then I'm going to have to go over 5 for my radius. So I'm going to have at least 9 right there. So let's not make this too big. This is going to be a pain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and -3. 1, 2, 3. So there's the center of the circle. Okay, so that's where the center of the circle is. Okay, I can't describe it any better than that. So let's pull this up a little bit. And then the radius, let's do this in a different color. The radius of the circle is 5. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to have to go out 5 this way. I'm going to go up 5, go to the left 5, and go down 5. All right. I tell you what, let's just keep this white until I'm ready to draw a circle. 1, 2, 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go over 5 this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go up. I'm down here at -3, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be enough, shouldn't it? And let's go ahead and put some dots there so I can. So I got to go over 5 this way. Put a dot. And I got to go. Oh, I got to go some over to the left. That's right. Yeah, because I already went over 4, right? So all I got to do is go over 1. Let's grab that color. All right. So I'm going to come all the way over to here. And then I'm going to go up to here. Everybody see what I'm doing? Okay, I'm just trying to find out how wide, I guess, I don't know, your circle is, right? The radius of the circle is 5. So now, it's going to be ugly. I'm going to try to, and this is stupid. I should have just started this program over again, but I let it restore. That's probably why it's doing what it's doing. So nope, I'm not going to restart it anymore. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is nuts. So I'm going to use my little program, try to make it look a little bit nicer. So I don't even know where to start it. I'll just start it here and then take it to here. That's pretty close, that dumb thing. It's kind of close. Yeah, well, it's not going to be perfect because, you know, I just kind of estimated where all my dots were going to be. That's close enough, good enough. Okay, just pretend it hits all those dots, all right? You would just do it by hand on your paper anyway, but mine was looking so ugly I couldn't stand it, so I just did that. But just try to make them, if possible, try to make them the same distance apart right there. Next one we do, I'll use the little graph paper thing that I have just to make it look a little nicer. All right, so that's not the only thing they ask you to do, though. They ask you to write this. I'll tell you what, let's now that I've drawn this, let's move this off to the side a little bit. Give me some room. All right. And what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to write it in standard form, general form, and then we already got the graph. Okay. So standard form. Let's write that down. Standard. Oh my gosh, it's going to go crazy. Standard form. Remember what standard form of a circle is? It's that one that's real practical. Remember we talked about that? It's got the center and it's got the radius in it where you can just see it. So it's x minus h squared. You're going to have this memorized. Okay, I'll tell you right now, for the quiz and the test, you got to have it memorized. Equals what? Is it just r? It's r squared. Good. Okay, so let's do this. I'll do this in a different color. Let's find the standard form of this particular circle. All right, so here's the formula for it. This is the general formula. But look what we got. This is our h and our k. That's obviously the r. So basically, I just replace the h and the k with these two numbers and the r with this number. Now I got to square it, okay? But that's all you do for the standard form. That's not so hard, is it? All right, so let's do that. There's really no math involved. So what do we write? We write x minus h. What's the h? It's this one, and that's a 4. And then you just put a squared thing there. Why does the one ding and the other one doesn't ding? I don't know. All right, what is this? This is y. Now, you got to be careful with this. It's y minus. It's y minus what? Is it just y minus 3? No, it's y minus what? Negative 3, which really becomes a what? A plus. So I'm just going to make this look a little prettier and just put plus. You okay with that? All right, so it's y minus negative 3, which is the same as y plus 3. Put a squared equals r squared. Well, the r was 5, so what is this going to be? 5 squared, which is 25. So that's the standard form. So that's part of your answer. Okay? So we're 2/3 done. We got the graph. We got the standard form. Now what we have to do is write it in, what was the other form? General form. General form is where you have everything thrown to the left-hand side set equal to 0. Okay? So let's move this up a little bit. What we're going to do is take that standard form and turn it into general form. You with me? Okay, so there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this stuff out right there, x minus 4 squared. So what is x minus 4 squared? It's going to be, I'm sorry, let's do this. Let's write the general form first. It's ax plus by. Girls, it'd be nice if you come to class instead of doing other stuff, all right? I know you have other responsibilities, but class is your first responsibility, so you need to come to class. That's, well, you need to be here on time. That's, I could have a million, anyway, enough of that. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I'm thinking of some other general form. That's not our general form. What's our general form? It's going to be x squared plus y squared. Do you remember that? Plus what? You're going to have an x and a y, but you're going to have a number out in front of it. Remember, it's ax and then plus by. And then we have just a constant, just a regular number, which is what? Plus c. Is that familiar? Okay. Well, you had a whole homework on it. You should have looked at it, and it should be somewhere on your paper. So hopefully that is a little familiar. So that's the general form. So, sorry about that. All right, so now we need to put everything on the left-hand side. What we're going to do here is we're going to multiply this thing out, this x minus 4. So now you will have to do a little bit of math here. And this is stuff that we learned before. It's nothing new. But if you didn't learn it then, you're going to have to learn it now. All right, so it's x minus 4 quantity squared, which is the same thing as x minus 4 times x minus 4. We're going to FOIL that in a minute, okay? But that's what that thing squared is. Ugh. What a start of the day. All right, we're going to put y plus 3 times y plus 3. And then, remember, we want this equal to 0, so we want this constant over the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract a 25 from both sides and then put equals 0. So we really haven't done any math just yet, have we? All we did was just, we just expanded this a little bit, expanded this, stuck the 25 on the left-hand side, set it equal to 0. Now it's starting to look a little bit closer to this. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to do this kind of quick. This is, you FOIL this. So it's going to be first, outside, inside, last. So the first is x squared. The outside is negative 4x. The inside is negative 4x. So what's negative 4x minus 4x? It's negative 8x. All right, you should be able to do that in your head. If not, feel free to write it down. Then the last is negative 4 times negative 4, which is a positive 16. All right, this right here, it's y squared plus 3y, which is 6y, plus 9 minus 25 equals 0. So that's all we did. We just did a FOIL. We did a FOIL. Okay? We're almost done. Kind of one step. So what does our formula look like? It looks like you have the x squared and the y squared first. So do we have any x squared and y squareds here? Sure. We got an x squared here, so we got an x squared there. So I'm done with that one. Do we have a y squared? Yeah, we got a y squared, so plus y squared. And then let's put the x and the y's together. We only have the one x, so I'm just going to put that there. Done with that. Put the y there. See how easy this is? Once you get to this part? Yeah. And then what's this going to be? This is 25, isn't it? 16 plus 9 is 25. Minus 25 is what? 0. So we don't really have a c, do we? It's just a 0. So what do we set this equal to? 0. And that's our general form, and that's it. Okay, so that's our general form. So here's the answer to this question. There's 3 parts to the answer. There's the standard form, the general form, and then you got the graph. What I'll probably, it's a good question. I really doubt you're going to have to get all 3 right to get the problem right. I might split it up. I said 5 questions. Maybe I will have 10 questions. Like this is question 1, question 2, question 3. Is that all right? And then we'll have maybe like 3 questions plus an extra or something. I don't know. Haven't figured it out just yet. But yeah, I mean, that would be bad. But to tell you the truth, in order to get this right, you got to get this right anyway. Okay? But I'll probably make them 3 separate questions. You could get this very easily just from the information they give you. So you don't even have to know the standard and general form to be able to get this right. All you got to be able to know is the radius and the center, and you should be able to graph it no problem. Okay? That's really a whole bunch of these are just like that. I don't know if there's any others that are any trickier than that. Like 19, they put a fraction in there. But it doesn't really make it any different. I'll tell you right now, on a quiz or a test, I won't put a fraction on there, okay, just to make it easy for you. I just want you to know, basically, I just want to know that you know how to find the standard form and the general form. Okay? I'm not really here to test your algebra skills necessarily on these problems. On other problems, I am, but maybe not on these, okay? I just want you to know all about the circle and the general form and standard form and all that kind of stuff. So really, that goes through, let's see. That goes through 19, right? So that kind of problem is from 11 to 19, and they're all pretty much the same, all right? So there's nothing different with those. Now, number 21 through the end, right? Don't they ask you the same exact thing from 21 to the end? Yep, they ask you to find the center. Goodness, I don't want to update them. Why does it keep asking me? So, so on this one, they're going to ask you to find 4 things. So that'll work. I'll give you one of those other questions, right? And one of these questions. That'll be easy. That'd be good for the, right? Because the first one's got 3 parts. This one has 4 parts, right? So I'll give you, let's see, maybe 2 of the other ones and 1 of these. I don't know, something like that. Who knows? So you're going to have to find the center of the circle. Now this time they don't tell you the center. You're going to have to find the center. You're going to have to find the radius of the circle. You're going to have to graph it. And you're going to have to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. So it's kind of like 5 things, isn't it? All right? X and Y is kind of the same thing. But it's really 5 things you got to find for this. So let me find one that I think would be fair game for a test. Let me do a real easy one first to kind of work our way into this. So let's do number 21, and then we'll do a couple other ones. Hopefully I have time to do a couple more. So here's what they give you. They give you this. They give you x squared plus y squared equals 4. Wish I would have restarted this program before. So the first thing you want to do is find the center. Do you remember what the center is? That's HK. What is the radius? That would be R. But this doesn't quite look like it. This kind of is like a hybrid between the standard form and the general form because it's not equal to 0. But it doesn't say x minus anything. But I could put it in here, couldn't I? I could figure out what it is. So what is the h and the k on this? What are we subtracting from x to get x squared? What could we write it like? 0, that's right. So it's x minus 0, isn't it? Isn't that the same thing? Why would I just write it? Did I just randomly stick a 0 in there? No, because I know that standard form. I'm not going to write it again. I wrote it earlier. But the standard form is x minus h. I want to find out what the h is, right? So what am I subtracting from the x right there? I'm subtracting a 0 from it. You see that? Plus, same thing here. What are we subtracting from y to get y squared? We're subtracting a 0 here as well. Isn't that the same exact thing? Yeah. And this is equal to 4. Now, with this information, I can easily just look at it and tell what the center and what the radius is. All right? The center is the h and the k. So what is the center of this particular circle? It's just 0, 0. Okay? And what about the radius? Now, is the radius 4? No, because this is equal to what? This is equal to r squared, isn't it? So r squared is equal to 4. So how do I solve for r? Just take the square root, right? Take the square root, take the square root. R is equal to 2. Do I need to put plus or minus 2? We talked about this the other day. I don't have to put the minus part in here because I'm finding the radius. The radius is a length. You're not going to have a negative length. All right, so I will put just 2. So that's basically half my answer right there. There's the center, and there's the radius. So I can circle that, and I can circle that. We have to graph it. Once I have the center and the radius, it's super easy to graph. I shouldn't even waste any time graphing this, should I? But let's do this. Got all my graph stuff up here. Stop doing that. For those who came in late, my computer just shut down in the middle of me teaching, and now every time, I did hit record, yeah. I think I did. Let me check. Oh yeah, we're recording. This is a mess, but stop doing that. I'm trying not to let it bug me, but I can't help it. All right, so actually, let's do this. Let's just hit Control V. This will make it look a little bit nicer because all my grids will be the same distance apart. All right, let's do another color. So what was my center? It's not up here because my graph's too big. 0, 0. And then the radius is 2. So what do? We did it before. So let's go over 2 this way. Let's go up 2. Is the center of the circle always going to be at the origin? No. On this one it is, but it's not always going to be. All right, and then let's see if I can draw this. Well, that's not half bad. A little squiggly in there, but it's probably what yours would look like too, wouldn't it? That's the graph. It's pretty easy. All right. I'll even give you a graph, even on the test. You know how I give you the answer sheets? If you have to graph it, I'll put a little grid like this on there so you can graph it nice and neat. Save you some time too. All right. What's the other thing they wanted you to find? The X and the Y-intercept. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's just let's push this off to the side. Give myself some room so I can see this stuff up here. So the X and the Y-intercept. So the X intercept. Remember how we find the X intercept? We've done this several times now. We set what? Y equal to 0. Remember that? Yeah, we've done that a lot. So to find the X intercept, where do we start? Well, you could start anywhere. Let's just do the original problem. X squared plus y squared equals 4. So, and we'll do this over here. So set y equal to 0. So, and we solve for x. So that's going to stay x squared. We set y equal to 0. So I put plus 0 squared. Didn't really need to do that, but I'm just showing you what we're doing here. Equals 4. And now I solve for x. All right, so that's 0. X squared is 4. Take the square root of both sides. Now, we're not just finding a radius. We're not just finding the length. So what's important now? I got to put the plus or minus. That's very important. I'll show you when we look at the graph. So I'm going to put plus or minus 2. So what is the actual x-intercept? Where does it cross the x-axis? At 2, 0. And where else does it cross the x-axis? At negative 2, 0. Right? And if you look at that graph, look at it. Bam, right there. Crosses at 2, 0, doesn't it? Just like we said it would. And it also crosses right there at negative 2, 0. So that should make sense, shouldn't it? Okay? So now let's find the y-intercepts. I could probably look at the graph and tell you what the y-intercept should be, right? It's probably at what? 0, 2 and 0, negative 2. All right, so what are we going to do that? We're going to set x equal to 0 this time. So if you go back up here, we're going to set the x equal to 0. So it's going to be 0 squared plus y squared equals 4. Pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Y squared equals 4. Take the square root of both sides. So y is plus or minus what? 2. Let's write it as an ordered pair, though. It would be 0, 2, and 0, negative 2. All right, and there it is, just like we said it should be. Yeah.
If you get a graph that obvious, you still have to show our work for how to find it.
Nah, if you already have the graph there. But the problem is there's going to be some, and we're going to do one in here the next problem we're going to do. You're going to find one that is in between, and you're not going to be able to look at it and guess exactly what that number is. But if it does hit exactly on that number, if you just want to look at your graph, that's fine. But on the one that we're going to do right now, you're going to find out that that doesn't always work out that way. All right, so let's do one more. What'd you say, Justin? 20?
29.
You said 29? Let's not do that one. Let's do one that's a little more straightforward. The reason is because I just won't put that on the quiz. That's a little bit tougher. Okay, I'm gonna do one a little bit easier. So let's do 25. So 25, Billy, this is one of those ones where it's not going to be so obvious, where you can't just look at the graph and tell exactly where it is. So let's do this. So they give you x squared. Now you will have to do some math on this. Okay. And we only have 5 minutes left. So what I'm going to do, and I want you to do this, I'm going to do a couple more of these problems on YouTube, like on my own, in my room, and I'll load them up to it. So we'll call this review part 1 and the other one part 2 or something, okay? And I'll do a couple more of these problems because the math is a little bit more involved than what we've done before, okay? Now, we have covered this back in the day, in the early days of this class, but it was a little while back, okay? So we're going to have to figure this out. So right now, what form is it in? It's in general form. That's not a very practical form, okay? It looks pretty because everything's on the left-hand side and it's set equal to 0, but it's not very practical. I can't just look at this and tell what the center is and what the radius is. I'm going to have to do some work to figure that out. So what I want to do is I want to take this and put it into standard form. So I'm kind of going backwards of what I did with that first problem that we did today. So let me just show you what we're going to do. I'm going to take the x's and put them together. See that? I took the x squared and the 2x, I put them next to each other like this. All right? I'm just going to put them in parentheses. Actually, I'm going to put a space. I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to put a little space there. All right? And let's do the y's. All right? So what are my y's? I got a y squared and I got a minus 4y. And again, I'm going to put a little space there before I put the end of that parentheses. Okay? And I want to put this equal. Let's see. Let's take this constant and put it over on the right-hand side. So I do that very easily by adding a 4. So I get that equal to 4. So really, I didn't do any math yet. All I did was just kind of move things around just to get us set up for this. Now, what I want to do, let's do this in a different color. What I want to do is I want to complete the square. I don't know if you remember this. You probably learned this in Algebra 2. If not, we did learn this at the beginning of the year in that review chapter, but it's been a long time, so I'm going to go through it again. It might come back to you the more you listen to it. In fact, if you're not sure about it, you could always go back to that lesson. If you go through, scroll through all my titles, it says completing the square. Look for the one that says completing the square, and it shows you how to do it. So this is how we do it. I want to figure out what's going to go in this empty spot right there. So what I do is I take half of the middle one. So the middle one is -2. I take half of it, and then I square it. Do you remember doing that? So it's -1 squared. What's -1 in parentheses squared? It's equal to just a 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a +1 here. But I can't just randomly just stick a +1 there. If I do something to the left side, talk to me, I also have to do it to the right side. So I'm going to put a 1 over here as well. All right? I'm going to do the same thing to this. So I take the middle one, which is -4, and it doesn't really matter what the sign is. I'm going to square it anyway, so it's always going to come out positive, isn't it? All right? So what's half of 4? And I'm going to square. What's half of 4? It's 2. Then I square 2, and I get what? I get 4. So I put a +4 here. I can't just randomly add a 4 to the left side. I'm going to also have to do what? Add a 4 to the right side. Does that make sense? I'll do a few more of these on YouTube for you. So if you're not sure about it, you can always look at those. And I'm just going to do no nonsense, just straightforward, go through a few more of these problems. All right. Now, why did I do this? I did this because this is now a perfect square. By doing what I just finished doing, let's put this in same color. So what I just finished doing was completing the square. So this is going to be x minus 1 squared. Now look at this. This looks like something for a circle, doesn't it? You see what we're doing? It looks like the standard form. It looks like I can find the center of the circle with this. And this is going to be x minus 2 squared. And then this is going to be 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And there we go. So now it's in standard form. Okay, once it's in standard form, I should very easily be able to look at it and tell what the center and what the radius of that circle is. All right, so what's the center of the circle just by looking at it? You should just be able to tell. Remember, it's x minus h and it's y minus k. So what am I subtracting from the h? Or from the x, I'm sorry? It's a 1. It's not a -1, because remember what our formula is. It's x minus h. What's my h? This is the h right there. So I just put a 1 there. This is y minus k. So there's the y, there's the minus. What's my k? It's just a 2. That's the center of the circle. What's the radius of the circle? It's not 9, because remember, when this is outside here, what's my formula? It's equal to r squared. So if r squared is 9, what's the radius? It's 3. So there's my center, and there's my radius. From there, they ask you to graph it. Should be easy. We've already done it. I don't have time to do that right now. But from there, you could just graph it, like we've done a couple times today. And then it also asks for the x and y-intercept. So it asks for a lot. So these problems are pretty long. For those who came in late, I'm not collecting the homework today because this was a little more lengthy than what I thought when I first assigned it, okay? I should have tried them. And then I started doing them myself. And look, look, I did all this, and then even another page like that. All right, and the more I was doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was going to be that long. So I'm going to give you an extra day. Well, an extra 2 days because it won't be due till Wednesday. Today's Monday. All right, and that's it. So we have a quiz. This is a little rare, but we have a quiz on Wednesday, and we actually have a test on Thursday. Okay? So watch YouTube because I reviewed today for the quiz. Took the whole period to review for a quiz. And I'm doing more stuff on YouTube for you. On Wednesday, after the quiz, I'm reviewing for the test, and I'm going to do a whole YouTube video of every single problem. All 20 problems. I'm going to show you exactly the type of problem that's on the test. So that's a lot of review for you, but you have to take advantage of it. You got to get on YouTube, and you got to watch these things. But we will do it in class as well. All right, enough of that.